Hey guys.
G'day guys, Al Lewison.
Cam McClellan.
Welcome to today's Wealth Workout of the Day.
Wealth WOD.
This is WOD, not Wiggle.
Red Wiggle.
Guys, so following down the, we talked the other day about our MAP process, market area property, specifically, and going back over it, is how we eliminate risks and rule out places we don't want to be to end up with the right property, the right jelly bean in the bag. So we've talked about market already, guys, so we're now at the point, and we talked yesterday about the overview of the area criteria we look at, but specifically today I wanted to talk to you about one of the key measures inside that area process, or helping us find the right area by ruling out others, and that's around employment generators. Specifically, guys, about making sure that you're in areas where there's robust industry, creating a diverse range of employment generators will make sure that at any given time there's drivers to keep the property market moving up. We know that in capital cities it grows by 8.7% per annum year on year historically, and it's about finding properties in those areas that are going to just continue that steady trend and not have to worry about too many peaks and troughs. But the employment generator is the key one around that, and Cam's going to give some specifics to you today.
Yeah, I'll give you an extreme example, which will put a bit of perspective on it for you, why employment generators are really important to understand in the area you're considering. So first of all, we'll think about our capital cities and the way that our business community gathers within areas. So what you'll find is usually in a business district or an industrial district, there's usually one large employer, and then hanging off that large employer, there's some medium-sized employers, and then there's some smaller ones. So that's the way the Australian cities tend to clump together their business activity. What you want to be careful of if you're looking into a specific area is that large single employer really the bulk of the employment for the surrounding people, because that poses a risk to you. If there's something goes wrong with that industry or that employer in the business, well, obviously people are going to have to disperse and look elsewhere for employment, and therefore means there's going to be an exit of people in the area or suburb that you're considering. So it's a really good one to understand. I'll give you an extreme example, which we're probably fortunate we've got a really good insight into the mining industry. Now the mining industry, and when it comes to property investing, is something I really love sinking the boots into. It really frustrates me, the companies that promote mining town property investment, because they've got no long-term care or moral care when it comes to their clients and their clients' investments. So really easy to paint a fantastic picture, and it'd be so easy to promote mining towns as a great investment, because you just grab all the stats on, look at the mine that's going forward, it's got a huge 25 or 50 year contract in place, and look at the the amount of minerals going out of Australia and the need for our mining industry. That's true. But let's have a think about it. So we're very fortunate that we've got my brothers in the mining industry, so we've got insight in there. Spent a lot of time, myself and my investment consultants, mining companies and companies that support mines get us to go out onto the mine. So Far East Arnhem Land, Northern Territory, South Australia. So we travel a fair bit to mining towns, and we talk to the workers in those towns about investing in the capital cities. So historically mining has been boom and bust, and there's a reason for that. Basically, while the mine may have 25, 50 or longer years to go, the reason there's a huge amount of price increase and rental increase in the town is the influx of population required to build the infrastructure. So the infrastructure being the roads and everything to support the mine, the shops and the amenity and everything that's required to support the mine. The miners, the workers in the mines, they don't live in housing. They live out on site in things called dungas, which are little, basically cabins. So the mining company pays for their accommodation. So the only requirement for housing in these towns is the people who are building the infrastructure. Now when a contract is laid out, to support that mine, the infrastructure usually takes 3 to 5 years. So the huge influx of people, we build the infrastructure, and then when it finishes, about 70% of the population leave town. So that's a really good example of huge population growth leaving and why mining towns have been boom and bust. So a good example I often give is, imagine in one of our capital cities, Sydney for example, imagine if 70% of the population left Sydney. What do you think is going to happen to the property price or the rental prices? It's going to plummet. The same happens in mining towns. So be very aware and understand the employment generators in the area you're considering investing.
So the key thing there, well guys, as Cam talked about, is you go to these property shows and expos, and there's all companies selling mining properties to you and promising great returns. The mining companies are bringing groups like us in to talk to their staff who traditionally migrate to these towns to earn some money to maybe better their lives, not their choice to leave their family and go and live in a mining town and work traditionally, but they bring us in to talk to them about investing outside of mining towns. because they recognise the risk of being in that little tight community then.
Yeah, a good example, a guy I got pretty tight with in Mackay when we were up there, he was a general manager of a conveyor belt company, so they made the conveyor belts to support the mine. And he rang us because I heard Mackay had gone down, and I rang him and I said, what's going on? He goes, it was a Thursday, he goes, Cam, it didn't slow down, it fell off the face of a cliff. These things don't slow down in mining towns. Tracking along fantastic, and bam.
That's like the other client. We had a client 6 months ago recently said, I own 25 properties in mining towns. I specialise in mining towns.
So he's a CFO of one of the mine.
I urgently need to sell every property, need investment advice to help me reconstruct my whole portfolio. These 25 properties are in a bit of trouble. Well, with the cliff coming, it's very difficult at that point to pull the brakes on the railroad that's heading towards it. So there's not a lot we could do for him.
So when considering an area, getting back to the map process and eliminating risk, knock out the markets that are undesirable, and one of the first things you look for is employment generators, and make sure the area you're considering investing in has got diverse employment and it's not reliant on one or a couple of industries.
And Cam said it, guys, last week we did a presentation to some year 10s at a local school there as part of the series we're doing.
G'day, St Bernards.
And one of the questions that Cam asked, he's asked you guys today, what happens if 70% of the market leave Melbourne? He asked about Sydney. Well, the year 10's got it, guys, it's not hard to understand. The market dives, so just be careful.
Cheers guys, have fun.
Good day.